Hi, I'm Gary has a Phase 2 music, and I really like the sound of good chugging guitars. But have you ever noticed how some distortion pedals, while tight, they're not full sounding? Let me show you what I mean with some examples. What's going on here? So, I have two pedals that actually sound fairly different. Although they're the same pedal, all I changed was one function in them as part of the output filter. Now if we go back and review, I've talked that pedals have three basic building blocks: an input filter, some sort of a saturation stage, and an output filter. In a previous video, I showed how the input filter can create clarity across the guitar's range, but that comes at a cost, the loss of the bass thickness. To demonstrate this, I took a prototype version of the Radical Distortion pedal and I disabled the min setting of the bass makeup function. Again, production version, modified prototype. And that's why it seems to lack that low-end frequency response. Okay, so we show these three blocks. The output filter in my pedals consists of a shelving filter that adds bass and mids back in, as well as a second order low pass filter I've talked about in previous videos. So in its entirety, the pedal is an input filter, a saturation stage, and this two-section output filter. What this does is it creates the ability to, in fact, boost those bass frequencies after the saturation stage. So if the input stage filtered out a little too much bass, I can put a little back in with the shelving filter. And I showed what that does. Clean sound, again, is a Dream 65 through a Strymon Flint. A good clean sound. So one pedal has the bass makeup disabled, one has it enabled still, and you can hear the difference. It's time for graphs now. Explain what's really going on. To visualize this effect, I modified two more pedals to allow us to see the frequency response of the output filter section, including the bass makeup. Note what you will hear are the pedals with the input filters in place, but the charts will be of just the output filters. On the exact same volume, these two states right here are going to appear considerably louder than with no bass makeup. To correct for that, and the sound you're actually hearing right now, what I did is I actually boosted the no bass makeup by 2 dB. That's why the volume seems similar. I'll go to the mid bass makeup condition now. If I go to the min bass makeup, and again if I check the low frequency response, you can actually hear the effect that that bass makeup is having on the circuit. I'm now going to compare the mid bass makeup to the max bass makeup. What you notice here though is that although I call it a bass makeup, I'm really adding back in quite a bit of both lower mids and actually mid frequencies into both of these. This will make it sound fuller overall. Volumes are close, but if you hear the chugging difference, Since my bass makeup function actually in some cases is bass, in other cases bass and mids, I didn't feel the need to put both a bass and a mid control on my pedal. I could get a lot of tonal variety out of just a single bass makeup switch. If you found this interesting, hey, click like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel. Also feel free to post comments, and I'll try to respond to them. Again, you can go to phase2music.com where you can buy both the Radical Distortion and the Integrated Overdrive. Links in the description below. Thanks again, and just keep on jamming. Take care.